not a YouTuber, just like making videos. And today I'm going to talk about Vlad the Impaler. A couple of YouTubers have been making videos speaking upon Vlad. So I thought that I should throw my hat into the arena. Vlad, I think, Vlad gets, what I'm saying, there's no need for induction. Introduction. We all know who Vlad is. Popular vlogger. He bills himself as a hip hop journalist. I guess he is. He started off. He went to Berkeley. He started off on the West Coast. He helped with that whole DVD movement. He wasn't the only person doing it. He was hanging out, interviewing lyrical heavyweights like Hieroglyphics, Souls of Mischief, Casual. I got a lot of respect for those guys. Love their fucking music. And Casual is underrated. I think Casual is better than Eminem. But hey, that's just me. And so forth. Now, I think people do give Vlad more credit than he deserves. I understand he built a pretty solid platform for himself. But if there was no Fab5Freddy, there would be no Vlad. Fab5Freddy, he was dang near the first hip-hop journalist. He was doing it back when people was breakdancing, graffiti art, back when Times Square in New York was the red light district. When people walked around with the big boom boxes and so forth, I was one of those kids. He was in the movie Wild Style. I'm like, man, this dude is he is a national treasure of hip hop. There was no platform. People thought hip hop was going to be a passing fad. There was no MTV Raps, no Rap City, no internet, no nothing. He did some serious groundwork, to get because he was trying to interview rappers and get articles published, and he was really pushing this thing called hip hop, man. He is literally one of the forefathers. But now we have Vlad TV. Now, what's Fab5Freddy doing nowadays? From last I heard, he's over in Japan. He's probably disgusted with the way rap music is going nowadays, and And I do feel that real, true hip hop music lives overseas. That's why a lot of rappers like Das Effects and Lords of the Underground are still touring Europe and Japan and so forth. But on to Vlad. Vlad is becoming the Jerry Springer of a rap platform. What he's doing now is pretty much black exploitation, and just he's a straight up red-headed swivel neck culture vulture. And he needs to know his lane. He's stepping out of his lane here. This dude. Now he's casted his net onto the whole African American diaspora. When it comes to comedians, some politicians, the pro-blacks, even the dregs of society, gangbangers and drug dealers, Pookies and Ray Rays. He interviews them all. And now he has somewhat, he want to dictate stuff, and just like any white person, feels that he can give the best advice. Some of these rappers that he interviews, now I understand he does interview some hip hop legends, probably off GP, Chuck D, Flavor Flav, Grandmaster Cash. But as far as new, his interviews with new flesh, I'd say, he'll put on these Pookie and Ray Ray, Chief Keef type rappers, talk about their gang affiliation, their drug cases, and so forth. See, there's a reason why they call Fab5Freddy the Feds. No, there's a reason why they're calling Vlad TV the feds, and you know what I'm saying. Someone like Fab5Freddy will never be called the feds. The Fab5Freddy, he'll never do an interview with Eric B and Rakim and talk about Eric B being a major drug dealer, their connections with Jamaican drug lords and so forth. He'll never ask Rakim like, hey, wasn't it the fact that you was left off of the posse track Self-Destruction because of your ties with the mob and so forth, and they'll think that you would be a bad influence. It'll be contradictory to put someone like you on that record, and so forth. So therefore, as I said, it's exploitation. It's like he'll have someone like China Mac, who is a freaking whack rapper, and just talk about China Mac's known for, I guess he's a Chinese person that's just been in lockdown and he's been shanked and fought with COs, and you don't hear about his music. I'm watching interviews of China Mac. I'm like, is this guy a rapper? I'm checking out his music. I'm like, wow, this guy is garbage. And he stated to Lord Jamal, he stated to the Breakfast Club that Little Bootsy is his most popular interviews, some of his most popular interviews. And I'm like, to me, Little Bootsy is somebody that needs to be silenced. But that's another topic for another video. And I remember when he said to Lord Jamal that sometimes he'll interview people and it doesn't pan out, that, it doesn't get as many views, he loses money. I'm like, whoa. An interview that didn't make you any money? I'm like, pump your brakes. This is supposed to be about the love. This is about the culture. I'm like, Fab5Freddy will go out there and interview some people in Japan. Some rappers in Japan. People in America ain't fucking with no Japanese rappers, especially not in the 90s when we had Biggie, Tupac, and a Wu-Tang Clan when they was at their pinnacle and so forth. And that's the thing. He'll bring out some low-life, has-been dusty drug dealer talking about how he ruined the community. I'm like, this guy pretty much did nothing but ruin the community, but it's like they get a reward. And then these criminals and so forth, they get on Vlad and, it ain't even about the music. It ain't even about talent. It's like, oh yeah, I sold drugs and I got shot at by the police, and that's enough to get you a coveted position on that couch. And Vlad's couch is beginning to remind me of the Ghetto Gaggers couch. But I digress. But let's go into his, and still, hold up. There are just rap heavyweights that Vlad never interviewed, never gave exposure to. People like, and new guys, or people who is dropping fire today. Dudes like K Reno, which K Reno, yeah, he's been around since the 90s, but K Reno has been dropping, he's been dropping some hot tracks of lately, and K Reno got his own channel and so forth, and Vlad never gave him that couch. Now, maybe he could have declined, you never know. And there's dudes like RJ the Beast, Rock Marciano, I think that's his name is, Kambata. Kambata's dope as hell. Real dudes that's really trying to keep the culture alive. People like Rhapsody. People that's trying to bring the integrity back, trying to bring skills back. Vlad is not concerned with that shit. He's more concerned about a Pookie and Ray Ray and what kind of drugs they're on, and I'm saying the time they spent in prison, man. It's just turning into smut. You know what I'm saying? And he's rubbed people the wrong way, especially like Dr. Umar Johnson, who didn't like the way his interview was handled. But let's go into his Farrakhan statements. You gotta understand, Farrakhan goes far beyond entertainment, black entertainment, and so forth. So for him to criticize him is off limits. You know what I'm saying? You can't put everything black in one little package, and since you got this popular platform, you can just fix your face to say anything. And then he's talking to Godfrey about the Jews, talking about what the Hitlers did to the Jews, about how he has 9 of his family members were killed by the Nazis. Really, 9? He got an exact number about some family members that was killed before he was born. He got this exact number, and I'm telling you, it seems like every single Jew, every single white Jew has family members that was killed by Adolf Hitler or the Nazis. They have a great grandfather that was in the concentration camps, and so I'm like, wow. I'm like, according to Noam Chomsky, he states that the Holocaust was that number is just greatly exaggerated. He states that it was like less than 500,000. But read his books; he'll tell it better than me. And still, when we look at Adolf Hitler, because Vlad TV was going off saying Adolf Hitler, if he would have got a hold of black, he would have done the same to black people. People think he's helped black people. He would have done the same to black people. I'm like, Adolf Hitler, as Khalid Muhammad said, is not a freak of nature. He's not somebody that appeared from some dark dimension, some corner of time and space with these outrageous ideas. I'm like, Adolf Hitler is what happens when racism and white supremacy goes unchecked. Then monsters like Hitler, will arise. I'm like, last time I checked the history books, colonization, the concept of a superior race, the concept of an inferior race existed way before Adolf Hitler was a sperm cell. So the world was already racist. You know what I'm saying? White people was already colonizing the Americas and so forth, kicking the indigenous people down. Slaves were brought over from Africa. By then, black people was being hung from trees and so forth, was being treated like shit. And then here comes Adolf Hitler. And even still, when the Jews, and we don't even know who the real Jews are. I'm like, they can't prove scientifically, even by DNA, that they're the true descendants of Israel or the true descendants of the Hebrew Israelites. Even still, when the Germans when the Jews got Israel in 1958, they went over and done to the Palestinians something similar to what Adolf Hitler did to them. I'm like, they wrecked them. That's why you have all this conflict with the Zionist occupation over there in Israel, all this conflict. And the Jews are vicious racists. I'm talking about these white Khazar Jews. I'm like, they're not very welcoming to the Ethiopian Jews and the black American Jews that's trying to go over there and settle. It's almost like they they feel like they're impervious to criticism of their racism because of what happened with them against Adolf Hitler and so forth. Look at Donald Sterling. You think Donald Sterling would have got mad if his side bitch was hanging out with two Germans? I'm like, so the Jews, racism. I'm like, the Jews are also they're opportunists. They took advantage of colonization. They took advantage of hegemony. They took advantage of the slave trade. So they're not innocent. So that's all I want to say. Video is running too long. Thanks for watching and never stop learning.